بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of November 2021. And in our series, Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 273. And these days we are looking at the meanings of the words in verse 94 of Al-Baqarah, the second chapter of the Holy Quran. And this is the fifth broadcast in that series. Just to remind you that the founder of the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, which brings you these broadcasts, was Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Rahmatullah Alayh. And his teaching was that although people say that at least one more prophet will come after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, this is incorrect, because the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet was Khatmun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained this by saying, Ana Khatmun Nabiyyin la Nabi abadi. I am Khatmun Nabiyyin. There is no prophet after me. So now no prophet will come, whether an old prophet or a new one. However, when the Muslim community needs guidance, then reformers, Mujaddideen, will come. And they will point out the errors in beliefs and practices of the Muslim community. This will naturally give rise to differences of opinion. And what the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said, that if such differences lead to research and investigation and debate and advancement of knowledge, then these differences are a blessing for the Ummah. But what happens is that people jump to calling each other kafir and heretic and out of fold of Islam and God knows what else. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad had said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima that you are not a Muslim, then it is the person saying it who's closer to heresy. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad stressed this. Even a day before his death, he mentioned this, that a reciter of the kalima is forbidden to say to another reciter of the kalima that you are not a Muslim. Similarly, people believe that verses are missing from the Holy Quran. Some say Surah Rajam, some say Ayah Rajam, some say Surah Walayat, and so on. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that no verse, no prophetic revelation received by the Holy Prophet Muhammad is missing from the Holy Quran. Also, people say that some verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi wrote that no verse of the Holy Quran was, is, or ever shall be abrogated. This is absolutely wrong. And most importantly, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad stressed the need for jihad. And he said that every Muslim must conduct a jihad every second of his life, every moment of his life. But jihad as defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, who when returning from fighting said that Muslims are returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad, and then explained that the major jihad is jihad bin nafs, a fight against our own inner desires. So with that, let us turn to today's topic. As I said, verse 94 of Al-Baqarah. A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Qul in kanat lakumud darul akhiratu indallahi khalifatam min dunin nasi fatamannawul mauta in kuntum sadiqin. Say, if the abode of the hereafter with Allah is specifically for you, to the exclusion of the other people, then invoke death if you are truthful. And interestingly, this is also something that Muslims insist on. But anyway, that's not today's topic. The two words we are going to look at today are nas and fatamannahu. So let us turn to the dictionary and see what the dictionaries tell us. So the first one, its root is Noon wa Seen, and it occurs in the Holy Quran 241 times. As in chapter 2, verse 8, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, the people. In chapter 2, verse 21, Ya ayyuhan nasu subudu rabbakumul ladhi khalaqakum. Mankind. Another place, chapter 2, verse 24, waquduhan nasu wal hijaratu. Men. Now, you see the word is nas here. And in chapter 2, verse 8, you can see it's translated as the people. Because nas includes everyone. Similarly, chapter 2, verse 21, Ya yuhan nasubudu. Translation generally is mankind. I think it might be better in these places to translate that, for example, here, rather than mankind, humanity or humans. And people is non-gender. It includes men, women, everyone. And humanity, humankind, again, is gender neutral. The Arabic words are gender neutral, but the thing was that when these translations were being done at the time, uh, in English and so on, you didn't have words like humankind and so on. You had mankind. Um, and so this is how they got translated. But even at that time, I suppose, "O humans" or "O humanity" might have been better, which were more gender neutral, etc., and closer to the Arabic, I would suggest. So the point I'm making is that although if you look at this, in lots of places, chapter 2, verse 243, in Allah, etc., fadlin alan nasi, in Allah lazu fadlin alan nasi, and the translation is mankind. And it gives the impression of Islam being sort of, a religion that sort of ignores women. But that's not the case. I would suggest that these translations are tainted by how things were in English-speaking world at the time these translations took place. Better expressions might have been for humanity rather than mankind, and so on. So anyway, but enough of that. So let us go to. With these you have a lot of technical discussions about annasu and various things, but I'm not going to go into that. I simply want to look at how these words apply to us, and what their message is for us, to allow us to live our lives in the best possible way. And for example, chapter 104, verse 1, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Seek, I seek refuge in the Lord of the people. Rabbin Nas, Rabb, God, Lord, Creator. Again, the word is Nas, but its meaning is, it doesn't mean, if you translated it, and it's frequently translated as, I seek protection for the Lord or the Creator of men. Does that mean that women weren't created by God? This is why I disagree with this translation of Nas as men. I see protection in the Creator of people, humanity, humankind, etc. But sometimes here, it applies to everyone, the whole of humanity. But sometimes, although a group is being referred to, it's not the whole of humanity. But then it's qualified by something else. Aminu kama amanannasu. Chapter 2, verse 30. Believe like the others did. So here, Nas is not one particular human being. It's not the whole of humanity. It is a particular group. Those who'd gone before and who'd believed. Similarly, in chapter 4, verse 54, it is said that I'm trying to increase the resolution here. Oh, here we are. Am yahsudunan nasa ala ma atahumullahu min fadli. And they're jealous of what Allah has blessed them with. So again, doesn't apply to one person, or this doesn't apply to the whole humanity, but we are talking about a group, a particular group. As with all Arabic words, you have to be very careful and sort of look at the context very carefully. Otherwise, you're likely to be misled into misunderstanding the meaning or the message of the Holy Quran. So let's now go to the next word. Fatamannahu or fatamannahu. And its triliteral root is mim nun ya, which occurs in the Holy Quran 21 times in 6 derived forms. So these 3 are combined to make 6 different words. And the first one is, the most frequently used is 6 times. It is umniyat. Umniyat. And 6 times as yatamanna. So that's 6 times each. 3 times as tamanna. And 3 times as yumna as well. And twice as yumanni. And once as manni. And just for those who speak Urdu, one of the derivations, tamanna, that word is used in Urdu. It's a common word in Urdu meaning desire, wish, wanting something or other. So to wish, to desire, desire itself, etc. And interestingly, in one place, this word is used as semen, to mean semen. So let's have a look at this and see what I can find it. Here we are. As I said, its root is mim nun ya, and its basic meaning, al-manyu, it means to estimate. And those of you who come from India, Pakistan, etc., they will know that man is a weight. Like you have grams and kilograms and whatever, pounds and so on, and ounces. There is a weight, man. And I think that word is used, the word estimating, because these measures, lengths and widths and weights and so on, they're not God ordained. People just got together and decided, this thing, we'll call that it's 10 kilo, or it's 1 kilo, or 1 man. So when you say that this thing is 1 kilo, you are estimating that it's the same weight as the standard 1 kilo, or here standard 1 man. This is why the word for the weight is taken from the word which means to estimate. And then we have alam yaku nutfatam min maniyyin yumna, chapter 75, verse 37. Was it not a drop that was placed in the womb? Or in chapter 53, verse 46, min nutfatin iza tumna, and sperm that is placed in the womb. So it is God's power that determines what comes from placing that sperm in the womb. Could be a boy, could be a girl, could be the murderer, could be someone who invents the cure for, these days, let's say, coronavirus, and so on. So, people estimate, they guess what is going to happen, with what is in the womb. And, like one way of guessing is that, they give names, and some of the names are, based on, on the qualities that you want the baby to have when he or she grow up. This is why in Islam, before Islam, people used to give their children horrible names, names like Terrifier and this kind of thing. And Islam forbade that and said, give them good names that show good qualities rather than bad qualities. Again, when you form an idea in your head about something based on its description, the word for that is atta manni. So, someone describes something, and then, you make up a picture of that in your head. But it could be, and it mostly probably is, wrong because you've guessed it. So generally it turns out to be wrong. And this is why this word is used for wrong type of desires that people develop in their hearts. And when we have, then we have the verse of the Holy Quran, Fatamanna wul mauta, the verse we're discussing now, then desire death, and see what happens. And you can see that this word expresses untruths and lies and so on as well, because you're guessing at things. For example, in verse 78, chapter 2, وَمِنْهُمْ أُمِّيُّونَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا أَمَانِيَّ. And some are ignorant, ummiyun. And what they do is, they don't know God's guidance, but they just follow their own wrong ideas, desires, thoughts, and so on. Amaniya. Their false desires, their false ideas. And and so on. So now there is one verse of the Holy Quran which has been mistranslated, misunderstood, whatever you want to call it, in a very dangerous way. This has happened to many verses of the Holy Quran, that people translate that and or think it, and then they don't realize the consequences. And that is chapter 22, verse 52. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ وَلَا نَبِيٍّ إِلَّا إِذَا تَمَنَّى أَلْقَى الشَّيْطَانُ فِي أُمْنِيَّتِهِ. And we haven't sent before you any messenger or prophet, but when he desired something, إِذَا تَمَنَّى, then what would the devil do? He would put something in that. And the book, Rushdie's book, Satanic Verses, etc., was based on the misinterpretation of this verse of the Holy Quran by Muslims themselves. So when we find something that is incorrect, we should correct it rather than keep insisting and saying, Imam this or Imam that said that, so it can't be wrong. And then when those who disagree with us and so on, they point to these things and create problems. Here we are talking about, what do prophets and messengers desire? They desire that the ummah remains pure and so on. They don't go astray. They follow God's guidance and become an ideal group, exemplars for the whole of humanity. And but it is not the prophet's desire, the messenger's desire, that something is added to, but the desires of his ummah, those who followed him, or those at the time that the prophet appeared, when he said, I received this revelation, his opponents would add something to it and make it something else and alter it. That's one thing. Another thing is, this is why God kept on sending prophets, because the believers, the followers of those prophets, would keep on distorting their messages by adding things to them. So this is, you can see how dangerous it is, that if you don't guard against misinterpreting the Holy Quran as our commentators have done by translating this as the desire of the Prophet himself. That is sort of, the devil adds something to that. That's a very dangerous concept. If the devil can add to what a prophet is saying or doing, okay, then how do we know which part of the revelation is untainted by the devil and directly from God, and which part has been tainted by the devil? It leaves nothing of the religion. You can't rely on anything. So, the classical translation, in my opinion, was incorrect. And, these were great people who did great service to Islam, and they were trying to spread it and so on. So they made a mistake in one place. Rather than condemn them, we should pray to Allah to reward them for all the good that they did. But that does not mean to say that any mistakes they made, we keep following them for no reason. With that, I take my leave of you with the prayer that whoever you are, wherever you may be, may Allah keep the whole of humanity safe and sound and free from harm. Until we meet again tomorrow at the same time, I take my leave of you. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.